happen all the time? No, but work in progress. So that's the deal.
What a great. Well, did I flip to this too quickly?
No, you didn't.
Just checking.
Catch
John doing something right.
Here. This is beautiful.
John doing something right.
Yes. Good job, John.
Thank you. Welcome to an all-new episode of Work in Progress with John Lane and Will Barfield. This podcast explores leadership traits under stress with a special guest each week. We use a simple and accurate OAD assessment to identify key personality traits or superpowers, as well as the shadow side, kryptonite traits that appear when we're under stress. As always, we'll have some pod banter, shameless plugging, and we'll even let our guests talk for a bit. Of course, no humble brags. Welcome to the show. Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Work in Progress with John Lane and Will Barfield. Will, what did I do differently?
Wow. So many things.
Yeah,
is this a trick question?
I didn't say everybody.
That's right. We talked about that in the last one. That's like kind of verbal crutch thing you were going to try to go without.
Verbal crutch thing. Yeah. Now I've already touched my face, so for people who are following at home, they have to drink. Since it's a work day, they have to drink water or a seltzer or something like that.
Do I have a tick or a habit? Is there something that I do that we should monitor? Have you noticed?
No, it's more me. I'm a fidget, as you see me dancing around here. So we have our guest, Amit. Amit, nice to see you again.
Nice to see you as well.
And this is where I apologize in public. So Amit was one of our first guests, and we'll get to this later, our actual first expert. And something glitched and I lost the recording, and I ruminated about it the entire holiday season. And we ended up switching to this new brand software. We're definitely trying to get a sponsorship deal with them. So once again, so sorry. And welcome back. You're our first repeat guest, sort of. So anyway, that's my only banter. I don't want to ruin the apology by having extra banter. So Will, when are you going to get that green screen? Has that happened since we spoke?
So that was my blooper last
Correct.
show, Amit, is John chided me for not having a green scrin behind me.
Technically, Carol chided you to me, and then I just related.
She chided through. So this is actually a Carol thing.
Sort of.
I will have that by the next time we had a busy week, Mr. Lane.
That is very true. So I'm John Lane.
I am Will Barfield.
And we are a work in progress.
For
Beautiful.
Sure.
So we have our friend Amit back. We're going to see you in your little circle, and then we're going to see you in person in 2 hours. So we are looking forward to that. So we haven't got into your background yet, but I do have to say, this is one of the starkest, loneliest LinkedIn headers pages that I've ever seen. Which, as you introduce yourself, tell us how this happened.
So first of all, thank you for the compliment. Probably it deserves a little bit more love and care. I don't have a good answer for that. I don't know. I guess I've been neglecting my LinkedIn profile page for a long time.
You put a lovely backdrop picture there.
Okay, so you're working on your personal branding.
Yes.
But I want the picture. I would like to see the picture with that dashing beard.
Yes.
I think that would be great. Maybe like some grain or a field behind you, or something calming. Something calming.
Yes.
Something human resources calming. Did you put the grid up, by the way, John? Are we going to show the grid, because we're all about
so interested
diversity and variety here. We're trying
to mention it and then didn't do it. Magic of TV. Okay, so our regular readers know that the OAD survey plots results, respondents into a grid. We won't go into it, but up until a few weeks ago, we had no expert quadrants. We still have no facilitators, although we do have one booked. And now we have a third, but I think in truth, it's fair to say that Amit was our first. That just episode never sort of made it to air. Sorry.
This one will be better. That's why that happened.
That's exactly why.
Fate.
All right. So back to my
Coming
home.
back
So
down.
let's get Amit to introduce himself to
Please.
our
Sure.
huge audience, huge and
so-
diverse audience.
Yeah. So unlike my LinkedIn page, hopefully this introduction is better.
You're off
my
to
name
a
is
great start.
my name is Amit Neev. I'm the people business partner for North America at Adama. Adama is a crop protection company. Essentially, we help ensuring food security and feeding the world. I've been with the company 12 years now, and I'm based here in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Amazing. So, Will, feeding the world, that's kind of a better mission than we have. I think we have to up our game.
Yeah, I feel a little pang of guilt here that we aren't doing more for the planet than just getting on one of these and making fun of each other for 25
I think
minutes.
our mission is to impress sales and HR leaders so they buy software from us. Not exactly.
Speaking of that,
Yes,
right?
yes.
We are very fortunate because in the middle of the screen here is the first person we've had on that is a actual utilizer of the OED
Absolutely.
tool. So he has a little bit of advanced knowledge about how this whole thing works and what it means for him as a customer. So we'll get into that later. He appears frozen, Mr. Lane.
Awesome. Well, our commercial message is, as always, it's mostly because I don't feel like doing a new slide, but OAD is a very brief, very powerful personality assessment used by businesses, and that's how we generate our superpowers and kryptonites, and the results look like this. All right, Amit, this is the spot in the show where I ask everybody, you may have been the first one we asked this to, never made the air. How does it feel to be reduced to a simple data table?
Well, I'm a data guy, so I like it. I would say it's a very easy to take assessment. I think I took it a while ago, but it took, I think, probably 5 minutes. And I was impressed how accurate it is and how nicely it is summarized in a data table. So that's pretty cool.
Awesome. Well, let me break it down for the crew. Will, you tell me how well I do this because we've been undergoing training. So when we look at our table, we look at the 4 primary constructs: assertiveness, extroversion, patience, and detail orientation. And we see that Amit's primary trait is patience. And I'll also just begin by saying that Amit is what we call a specialist. And that puts him in the expert quadrant, which means he is a technically oriented specialist. Pretty good trait pattern for a HR person.
Yes.
He's very patient. He has a high attention to detail. He's structured. He likes clarity. He's favors compliance with rules and processes. He does not operate under a lot of urgency because he's careful about how he does his work. It's HR, you need to be. He's not very assertive, and he's kind of a natural extrovert. So I would think spending a day with people at work, you need to recharge your batteries just a little bit when you come home at the end of the day. Does that sound like you?
Pretty much, yeah.
You've been naturally introvert, right?
Yeah, introvert, yeah.
And then we summarize all the quadrants. I won't go through all of them, but lower left is an expert. And if you're thinking about experts at a high level, assume that they have a direct communication style, very efficient, and they operate with high knowledge. So if they know something, you're going to know they know it. And if they don't know something, they're going to go learn something, and then you're going to know that they know something. Correct. Great.
Spot on.
So those strengths, as we hear them, can also be kryptonites. So we are going to get to the section of the pod where, Will, you take over.
I'm going to take over. Amit, how's your video? We still good?
You can see me.
Yes.
Great.
So we're here. We're looking at the expert quadrant, lower left. You are a technically oriented specialist. The superpowers that are listed here that come with this: skilled, strong analytics, patient, straightforward, strong with detail and follow through. Of those, in the generic sense, which one of these leapt out at you as most accurate, or maybe you hear the most from others about you?
Probably two, the patient and the analytical skills. I would say that's spot on. Nothing much to add about it. I think it's a true reflection of my personality.
Excellent.
And Mr. Lane, we can move to kryptonite. Here again, these kryptonite characteristics are going to be part of the generic read for anyone who falls in this quadrant, Amit. So they're not unique to you, but they are features that should be part of your personality to varying degrees. Can hesitate to delegate or share tasks, can be too by the book or rigid, reserved to the point of being uncommunicative, can be too patient and easygoing, can be too inward looking, overlooking needs of the marketplace or those around. And which one of those leaps out at you, sir?
So for me personally, I think it avoids the mirror image of the left side. I can be too patient, and probably I'll talk about it, but I should. There are some cases where I should probably be more irritated, but it's very, very difficult to get on my nerve. And sometimes it's not the best thing, right? So I would say that, and overall, I think that personality type, including myself, obviously, we like structure, right? So it may come across sometimes as being rigid, but we just prefer structure. It doesn't mean that we cannot operate in an unstructured environment, but we prefer our natural tendencies to is for a more structured environment.
Perfect. So we're going to move now into the segment where we talk about your notes and your self-reflections. And this is where you and I will get into a little Q&A. So when you reflected on your superpowers, you wrote down things like you prefer data over intuition, you're patient and calm, you're a good listener, you have attention to details and good follow through, and you're straightforward. What you see with Amit is what you get. So if you want to comment on those, particularly as it relates to leadership, and whether it's at work or in another setting, how those are accurate components.
Sure. So if I start with the first one, so data over intuition, some people like to think very intuitively and just grab an idea and roll with it. I prefer something which is anchored in data. I like seeing data. I like analyzing data, and I like to make decisions based on data. So this is me. Again, sometimes you need to have that more freestyle thinking, if you will, but I tend toward the more structured and data-driven thinking. About being patient, so yeah, as I said before, I believe I'm a very patient person. Even keel. I think that if we're talking about leadership, so that's also my leadership style. I believe it helps me to the fact that I'm a patient person and a good listener is to listen to everyone's opinions and not just take one side. So I think it's more of it is translated into a more inclusive leadership, if you will. So I am trying to make everyone inclusive, and I am trying to see everyone's perspectives. Attention to details and follow through. Again, it goes back to the first point. So I think data goes with details, obviously, and I would look very carefully at details to make sure that they are correct, whether I'm responsible for the details or another person.
Now, I'll point out a little bit with your high P patience. That makes you somebody who not only is comfortable with process, but if there isn't a process in place, by the time you're through, there will be.
Probably, yeah. That's pretty right. The last bullet point is straightforward. So yeah, I would say no hidden agendas. So what good or bad, what you see is what you get. I don't know how to mask myself too much. So pretty straightforward. What you see is what you get.
Like it.
I want to ask one question on that slide, John, on the superpowers, and then we'll move to kryptonite.
Yeah, please.
Amit, human resources, this career, did you choose it or did it find you? And then, as you have built your HR career, has it been, at different places in different roles, and as you've elevated in your HR career, have you tried to build things that suit these superpowers, particularly that data and analytics piece? Because HR can be a zone where people feel more than they analyze.
Right. So good, very good question. So I think, the first point, whether I found it or it found me, I think it's a combination. So my first job was actually a financial analyst. So I was not born in HR. But my first job in HR was a compensation analyst. So most of my career so far was in the comp and ben area, again, very naturally, because it's based on data, or it's the harder part of HR versus the softer part. Moving into that role, which is a more broader position in HR, which includes also the softer parts of HR. So that required a little bit of transition. I would say from with the way I was used to work, and realizing that not everything is based on data, or not everything would always make sense. But I think using my patient superpower, I think it helped me to gradually learn and see other perspectives. So I moved from. I'm still doing a lot of data work, if you will, but obviously I'm doing also things that are softer and based more on, or not necessarily on rationale. Let's put it this way.
But when you take that and you can combine it, and you can go ahead and roll forward, John, when you combine that part with the data, right? What you love is to have, the human piece, but also back it up with the information. I mean, it just makes that HR role that much more powerful inside the org.
Yeah.
All right, kryptonite. So regardless of how much we like you, Amit, you do have the capacity for your superpowers to become weaknesses when the pressure is on, leadership challenges arise, something's happening with the company. Your kryptonite, right? You took notes on this. You decided to pen things like think to talk versus talk to think.
Right.
Sometimes too patient, need to be more irritated. I want to hit on that. And without a clear set of expectations or a predictable environment, you can be prone to procrastination. Why don't you, hit these for me, and then I'll have a question or two before we roll.
Yeah. So the first one is, this is the part of the introversion versus extroversion in my personality. So I'm a natural introvert. So some people would talk to think. So they like thinking by, sharing their thoughts. I would do a very, sometimes even a long internal thinking process before I would talk. And if I think that my idea is not good enough or strong enough, I wouldn't talk. So this, going back to the analysis we saw on my profile, this may come across as not communicative enough or reserved, or things of that nature. But it's just because a lot of it is going on inside, right, instead of the outside. But again, if you don't know me, it may come across as if I'm reserved, doesn't care, and so on. But it's not the case. Sometimes too patient. Again, that's, as I said, it's the mirror image. There are situations where you need to be irritated, and again, with me, just naturally, it's very hard to do. I'm not getting irritated easily. So this is something I should probably work on, and because I'm very much based on data and rationale, and it needs to make sense to me, or there needs to be a structure or framework. If it's not clear enough, or again, if there aren't clear expectations, I may procrastinate because of that. Just thinking, okay, what should I do next? But again, we cannot always work in a known, structured, stable, predicted environment. So over the years, I think I have adjusted. Still, it's not my natural tendency, but you have to adjust.
John, while I'm getting ready to prep this question, can you pull up his table? Great points there, Amit, and it's wonderful that you are willing to self-analyze to that degree. Look at that VL, right? He's got that VL, that versatility level. He's on the high side of normative there, right? So he's got the ability to flex, and that's what the point he was just making was, these are my tendencies when I'm, in positions of stress, but I have learned X, Y, and Z in order to adjust. I wanted to go back to that table and make that kind of visual point while we were talking about this. Amit, when you're leading, right, and you're either the leader above you or you're the people below you that report to you, when they need, quicker decisions, when they need, gut instinct, when they need, more emotion from you, yeah. How do you tackle those things, right? When someone wants you to make a decision faster than you want without enough data, or when someone that reports to you or someone you're reporting to needs more passion from you, where do we go?
So I think it's all, at the end of the day, it's a matter of self-awareness. So everyone has his or her own tendencies, but as long as you're aware of those weaker points or spots, and you take that into account when you operate and make decisions, I think it's fine. So obviously, over time, both either my team or my manager, we get to know each other's personalities, and if I need to be, I would say, nudged or more irritated, if you will, it will happen, right? So whether they would push me a little bit, or just again the matter of self-awareness, reminding myself that this what needs to be happening. Does it happen all the time? No, but work in progress. So
Well said.
That's the deal.
Well, great. Well, did I flip to this too quickly?
No, you didn't.
Just checking.
No,
Catch
we're
John doing
rolling
something
along
right.
here. This is beautiful.
John doing something right.
Yes. Good job, John.
Thank you.
Amit, we're going to put a bow on this here, sir. In great response to that, you were new to the OAD tool when we first brought this to you. Gosh, at this point, over a year ago, and now we're having the show again, and we're reanalyzing your profile, which was the first thing you ever looked at before you decided to utilize the tool more widely internally in the company. How did you take information you gathered then? How are you taking information you gathered now? This leadership's under stress is not just about work, right? It's about how do I look at, how do I reflect, as you said, on myself, those things that are my strengths, those things that I recognize are my weaknesses when the heat's turned up. How have you applied things that have, you've gleaned from OAD, but also from this analysis today that you can apply work, home, social to be an even better Amit, if that's possible?
Yeah. So again, going back to the point of what you see is what you get, I need to remind myself to be more call it vocal, if you will, in other settings, not just work settings, but also social. Because even at I would say a family dinner, I will probably be the more quiet one, right? And it's family, right, or friends, doesn't matter. So just it's a good reminder of those kryptonites, if you will, and how I should be more aware in those settings and interactions, how to be more dominant or vocal, and not to keep all the thoughts inside, but also speak them out. So
one of the things we learned in our training this week, Will, was that people with profiles similar to Amit's are more imaginative than others because they spend a lot of time with their inner life. What happens, though, is those thoughts don't make it to mouth or pen, and they can come off as aloof or quiet or not present, when the truth is farthest from that. It's just that you're not getting the you're not getting the presence of the verbalization of those thoughts.
Well, Amit's over measuring, right? And then he's like, well, I want to make sure I pick the right moment and the right time to say this thing. And I want what I say to come across really well. And if he's like, I'm like, this is like a B+ or an A-, I'm going to keep it. Then he doesn't contribute to the conversation.
Right. I like to say, ready, aim, 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 fire. More maybe fire. All right, guys, we got to move. Amit, who do you think could handle the withering interrogation of Mr. Will Barfield?
No one.
No one?
Almost no one. There's actually one person who I believe can do it very well. Her name is Jodi Overton.
Yes.
She used to be on my team. She recently moved to our sister company. She knows OED. She took the OED assessment, and I think she can definitely have a great conversation with you two.
Yeah, she's a riot. Not that you aren't, but she's a live wire, that one.
She's a live wire. That is her superpower. Amit, thank you so much for round 2. We really appreciate it. I will do my best to edit, but we had more technical glitches today, but I think it came out okay. I'm John Lane.
I am Will Barfield.
And we are
a work in progress.
Thank you, Amit. Talk to you soon.
Second time's a charm.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
Work in Progress is a podcast presentation of Slipshod Productions. Available on LinkedIn and YouTube. Executive produced and starring John Lane and Will Barfield. Talent booking, production, and editing by John Lane. Thanks for watching. See you next week.